Hey guys, John, CES Motorsport. Welcome back to the channel. I know you guys have been waiting a long time for this update and it is finally here. I know a lot of you guys had seen us when we had brought in the very first 6MT Supra that we had done. January 30th of 2023 was when this car first came in here. So guess it's been 2 years, guys, so maybe 2.5 years now since this car has seen the shop again. But basically when this car first came in, we had upgraded the clutch and we had done a meth injection system on the car with stock turbo. And we had turned it up to make some really respectable numbers with the stock turbo. Customer drove it, enjoyed the heck out of the car, absolutely loved it. This was the Clutch Masters twin disc with the hydro bearing. We had talked about doing one of the first prototypes on that particular Supra. Had to do some fixes on that, but we finally got that clutch kit working perfectly and it's been doing well for the customer ever since. And then he decided it was time to turn her up. So the car came back here a few months ago for the next round of upgrades and we decided to do a Pure 800 on it. We did a cooling package on it. We upgraded the axles and the carbon drive shaft from Drive Shaft Shop and a few other goodies on the car to increase the fueling on it. We were originally going to leave the meth system on there, but we decided we wanted to have the extra fueling. And as some of you guys know, Dorch Engineering had released the new DS25 S58 combo that is a DI only upgrade for the Supras. This package upgrades the high pressure pump and swaps out the DI injectors for larger S58 ones that were not available a few years back when we were doing the car originally. So we installed that on the car as well and we got to it. I'm going to show you the dyno numbers here in a minute of what we ended up with, but this package is an outstanding one to get into 700 plus wheel horsepower range with a Pure 800 build for those of you that are looking to do these kind of power levels without adding a reflex or port fuel injection, which can complicate things a little bit if you don't want to integrate those things into your build. So I'm gonna pull you in over here. We're gonna get to what we like doing best, talking about dyno numbers. Like I said, we had pulled this customer in back in January of 2023. The baseline run, no tuning, is in yellow, which put a respectable 391 to the wheels, about 394 torque. So for you 6MT guys that are interested in knowing exactly what kind of power you make in stock form, this is pretty much what it puts down on the dyno jet. Temps were a little bit cooler, obviously in January, so we were at 7 degrees ambient, which probably helped a little bit, but overall, really good numbers for a stock car with no mods, no tuning, and obviously the 6MT car will put a little bit extra power down to the wheels because it does not go through the auto trans, so it transfers a little bit more power to the rear wheels. The next dyno numbers that I'm going to show you is what we ended up with after we dyno the car with a couple different maps. One thing I did want to point out is that the car did not have MHD Plus. It was a femto unlock car, and obviously MHD Plus was also not available a couple years ago. So when the car came into us this time around, that was one of the reasons why we opted for the DI upgrade package, because it doesn't rely on MHD Plus to, upgrade the fueling or be integrated with the reflex, which he would have had to send the DME back off to femto for a re-unlock upgrade to the MHD Plus features. He may do that later down the road, but since we did not do that, we went ahead and did dedicated maps for him instead. So if you come back over here, I'll show you what we ended up with. First run in blue was basically just the 93 octane tuning that we did for him. We didn't want to go too crazy with it, but it made a respectable almost 509, 510 wheel and almost 515 torque to the tires. That's just straight up 93, no meth injection. He wanted that as a daily to be able to drive the car and just in case meth ever did run out. So that was his dedicated 93 map that we ended up with the Pure 800 upgrade. One thing to know, he did do the three-piece cooling package. I think we did the DO88 package for him, but he did not do the upgraded intercooler. So this is still with the stock intercooler core, but it is still running our meth injection system for some cooling. I think we had a 1000cc jet in the car. So that did help keep everything a little bit more efficient, even though the stock intake intercooler was on the car. When you upgrade that, we tend to see a little bit more increase in power and efficiency, and intake temps tend to be a little bit more stable. You will notice with the stock intercooler, when you start getting into these levels, that the IATs start to rise quite a bit more. I think they got up about 15 to 20 degrees higher in the fifth gear pulls that we were doing versus ambient. When we do the intercooler upgrades, it literally moves maybe 1 or 2 degrees, if anything. So that's kind of a testament to what an intercooler upgrade does if you guys are interested in doing that to your vehicle. And it just highlights the importance of doing intercooler upgrades on these cars when you want to start pushing into the 700, 800 and higher horsepower numbers, because you really need to have that extra cooling so you don't skyrocket your IATs. But thankfully this one had meth, and I think he lives up in Maryland, so it's a lot cooler up there than it is down here most of the time, and we were pretty comfortable with the numbers that we ended up with this one. So the next one we ended up doing was the 93 when we turned the meth on. So the green line that you see here is with 93 plus meth with the Pure 800, averaging out about 618 wheel horsepower, about 555 wheel torque. Again, really awesome numbers. Pure 800, as you can see, spooling at about 33, 3400 RPMs, still really respectable for an upgraded turbo, and just making awesome numbers on 93 with the meth on. So for guys that are interested in doing just meth injection upgrades on their cars, these were kind of the gains we were seeing from just a straight 93 and then 93 plus meth injection. And then we also finalized the tuning running full E50 with meth injection. When you do the DS25 and S58 combo from Dorch, you can run up to E50 on these cars with the stock low pressure fuel pump, and you can get around 700 wheel horsepower. Now obviously we had meth injection helping us with this one, so we were able to make a little bit more than that, and the end result was almost 717 wheel horsepower and 677 wheel torque. Now keep in mind this is a manual transmission, so it did have the upgraded clutch, so we can push the torque numbers a little bit higher versus the auto trans guys where we have to limit the torque in the low 600 wheel range before you need to start thinking about upgrading the trans. So one of the benefits of having a 6MT has been being able to push a lot more torque without having to spend a ton of money on an upgraded transmission. The clutch kits for these cars, depending on which twin disc setup you go to, are probably around the 3K range. I think that's where it averages out to, depending on which clutch kit you go with. So relatively speaking, that's more of a bargain to upgrade your clutch and be able to put extra power and torque to the ground. Again, 3,500, 3,400 RPM spool, and really massive gains once you start getting into the E50 territory when we have more octane to play around with. This thing on the street is fantastic, guys. So when you're driving your 6MT car in stock form and then you get to these power levels, it is literally a night and day difference. Customer was super happy with this. We ended up putting a different set of tires on the back. So he had Mickey's when he came in. A lot of you guys will know that the Mickey Thompson tires, when you put them on the street, the car will sway a lot. This car was pretty much all over the place. So we ended up swapping the tires out to the Nitto NT555 R2s, the 555 R2s we call them, and that fixed everything. Car was tracking straight, held all the power, and made it super enjoyable to drive. So if anybody's on the fence about making these kind of power levels and trying to put it to the ground, that's the setup that worked for us. We just put it on the stock wheel in the back and he was ready to go. This is MHD tuned. It was MHD tuned prior, and when we brought it back to do the Pure 800 tuning, we enlisted Chris, CD919. So if you guys know him, he's a local tuner that we use here. So really appreciated him jumping on board to get this one done. MHD tuned, 3 maps, CD919 for the tuning on this one. Thank you for watching. As always, we appreciate you visiting our channel and checking out the builds that we do here at the shop. The 6MT car was a fantastic one for us to do. Seeing the very first one come in a couple years ago and then bringing it back and turning it up to seeing what it turned into now was really an awesome treat. Customers super excited and happy about that. And also the level that we're getting these cars to is just equally impressive. I know you guys have seen the orange one, 45th anniversary one that we did with a Pure 900 build where we made north of 800, close to 840 wheel horsepower out of the car. Literally, we've been taking these 6MT cars to the same heights that we've been doing the auto trans cars. So that you guys are interested in doing a 6MT car, there's plenty of packages, 600, 700, 800 wheel horsepower that we can build for you. As always, you can check out all the stuff that we have on the website. Give us a shout, give us a call, shoot us an email. We can put a custom build quote together for you, and we will see you at the next one. Thank you.